Hello and welcome to the Garden Shop How to Garden video. In this video we want to show you how to transplant on your basil seedlings. In this case it's called a process called pricking out, and it's a process whereby you simply lift and replant your seedlings once they have emerged. The whole point of doing this is to increase the root space for your young seedlings, but also to improve the fertility and nutrients that the roots have available to them. So we have here basil seeds that have only just sprouted. These were sown about 6 weeks ago, so they've now developed large enough leaves for me to be able to handle them. And that's the key to pricking out, is that you don't begin your transplanting until your seedlings are large enough to handle. Now this process of pricking out can also be done for similar crops as basil, such as coriander, parsley and dill. Now I'm going to show you the process here. The first step is to prepare your potting on pots, which we have here. We have our 9 centimetre pots. They are filled with compost and perlite, and what I'm going to do now is just give them a light watering in. I'm going to use here a pressure sprayer, and that just gives this compost a good soaking. So you can see by the soaking of the compost, the soil shrinks down a bit. You can see beneath me here I have a garden tray, and that's just useful for, in this case, for doing gardening chores such as preparing pots, mixing soil mixes, potting on, and just for general gardening tasks. It helps to keep the place organised and tidy. You can also use, then as you can see, we have a 24-cell seed tray sitting in the general garden tray, and that allows you just to store, hold and water your plants as they grow. So it has a number of uses, the garden tray. Now I have those pots soaked, and now I'm just going to place a small hole in the centre of each of the pots like this, and that's where our new seedlings are going to go. Now that I have our soil prepared and our holes ready, I can begin the process of pricking out, and that's simply a case of getting a dibber or anything at all underneath your seedling, holding your seedling by the leaf, never hold the seedling by the stem, and then just encouraging the seed out like that. So you can see now I'm just holding it by the leaf, and now I'm just going to place the individual seedling down into the new pot, and then pushing soil in around it like so. And at all times all I'm doing is I'm holding the leaf of the seed, I'm not holding the stem. So I'm just going to compact the soil in then around it, and that just gives good contact between the roots of the seedling and the compost. Okay, I'm going to continue along the process here now. There should be roughly 2 seedlings per cell that I have here, so that's why we're also thinning out and pricking out today. So no harm if it comes with the compost, we'll take that with us. A larger, longer seed, so what I need to do in this case is just make my hole a little bit bigger here for it to push down into, and then that's an easier one to get in. And then again we'll continue along here, pricking them out. So the reason again for this is we started our seedlings in a 24 cell, meaning that we had more seedlings in a smaller space. Those seedlings were able to grow and effectively use up the available nutrients that they had in their pots here for about 6 to 8 weeks. And then after that it became time where we're up to now, which is 6 weeks after we sowed the seeds, and now they're being pricked out and transplanted on into larger pots. They can then stay in these pots until they reach a substantial size of maybe 15 centimetres in height, and then we can transplant them on again. Now in this case we're talking about basil, and it will be the same for coriander and dill, is that you can keep them indoors all year round, and that way you're they're not going to be out in the cold weather, but they've been kept indoors in a greenhouse where they survive better. Basil is something that doesn't like frosty weather. So if you do intend on planting your basil out, do so after all frost has passed. So again, I'm just holding it by the leaf, and I'm just going to place it down into my potting on pot here. Again, good contact between the soil and the roots and keeping them standing up nice and straight. And that's it, ready to go. You'll continue the process then for the rest of the basil. We have another 20 or so in themselves. Some of them are quite small now, so maybe we could leave some for another date. But the ones that are easier to manage, they can be transplanted now. So that's the process then, how to transplant basil. Again, the next step now is we'll probably put them in. What we have here is our potting on tray in front of us, and I'm just going to take each of the basils now and place them into our potting on tray here. And then each of these pots then needs to get a label, so basically I'll just mark up one for now. I'm just going to write down what we have here is basil, the date, and in brackets just put a T, which means that's the date that we transplanted them. And I'll place that then into each of the pots just like that. Now what we're going to do now is I'm going to keep this indoors in a light place which is warm and has plenty of sunlight, and I'm going to keep them moist, keep a good close eye on them for the next few weeks, and then once they've reached about 10 to 15 centimetres they can be transplanted into 1 litre plant pots, which we'll come back and do at a later date. But that's it now. That's how to transplant your herb basil, which can also be done for coriander, dill and parsley. Another video from thegardenshop.ie.